Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Cigar Spotlight, something new for the Calypso Cigar Review. I am Brandon Luna.
I'm Randy Rankin.
And today we are visited by Robert Holt of
you,
Southern
Jim.
Draw, the brainchild. How you doing today, sir?
Wonderful this evening. How about you guys?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing well. We just had a Southern Draw event here at Calypso and it went really well. And I'm smoking the Quick Draw Broadleaf.
Yes, sir.
And I'm smoking the Quick Draw Habano.
Nice.
And this is basically the release of these, right?
That is. Today is the first release commercially of our Petit Chrono line, the Quick Draw line, as you mentioned.
Once again, Calypso at the top
Right.
of its ball game. What are you smoking?
I'm having our core line, the Kudzu. This is our first blend that we released earlier in the year. And it's as good as it was the day we released it, but we were excited about that Quick Draw release for those fans of the Petit Chrono line.
Now, you guys went with the closed foot on the Quick Draw. What was the decision behind the closed foot?
If you'll notice, all four of our blends that we released all have a closed foot. And for me, after years of abusing cigars and watching other people abuse the cigars, we decided on the closed foot to give folks that are in a little bit of a hurry a starting point. Give them a place to get an ash started.
Yeah.
And we kind of encourage our folks, and I've got a 13-year-old son that's made a point of this at Cigar 101. Make sure you light that foot, get it burning good, and then take a draw.
Yeah.
So that way we're not burning the wrappers. So I think it's worked out well for us. Aesthetically, it looks good, but there is a function.
I've always been a fan of the closed foot.
I love the closed foot. It always seems like it's something extra when you go to, ooh, it's got a closed foot,
Yeah.
And then this has a pigtail too, so it's like, oh, holy crap, this is awesome,
Like two presents in one.
Exactly, right. It's like freaking Christmas when you get this cigar. So tell us a little bit about Southern Draw. Where did it come from? What was the idea behind it? And what do you guys got going on as far as the different blends?
Well, Southern Draw is a concept about 6 years ago, spending a good amount of my time in the Caribbean and Latin America. I've been a cigar smoker for about 18 years. But I was a cigar smoker where I stuck with the Fuentes and I stuck with the punches. And I might even have mixed a few Macanudos in there.
All right.
But sitting down in the Caribbean and Latin America, it's a culture that when the sun comes up, you go to work. And when the sun goes down, you quit working. On the way home from work, you sit under a banyan tree, hell or high water, have a nice cigar, have a glass of rum, talk to the fellows, and you make it home for dinner. And with that, I had the luxury of running into some pretty amazing guys, some of the larger names in the industry, and namely Alejandro Robina.
Nice.
And spending a couple of days.
Yeah,
who is he, right? But it's the stories. Don Benino is another story, a real classic Cuban that left in the 60s in Cuba and moved to Costa Rica. But everybody has a story. And what I realized about the cigar culture for me is in the U.S. I lost the culture. I was never introduced to it. And I knew at that point that at some time in my lifetime, outside of corporate America, outside of telecom, outside the things that I was comfortable with, that the culture of cigars needed to be brought back to the U.S. So first and foremost, Southern Draw is a lifestyle. There's a lot of wonderful brick and mortars like we're sitting in, a lot of wonderful shops. You meet the most amazing people over a cigar. But I think we've missed the boat on the culture, which is sharing with those people that are in the great outdoors. We've got golfers that smoke Macanudos. We've got folks going to some of the largest sporting events. We're in Austin, Texas. Home of Circuit of the Americas and wonderful music, venues. But
Used to have a good college team.
we used to. And we still have one. It's just a little further up the road now, right? But it's that culture that we wanted to take a look at, and it comes down to this for Southern Draw. It's not the message that's different. It's our approach. We love the culture, and we support the brick and mortars, and we support all the cigar companies. There's a lot of good and even great cigars, but our task in doing some private blending over those 6 years and learning the industry and going to factories and learning the science is the bell rung one day, and it says, making a cigar, blending a wonderful cigar is very similar to the work that goes into brewing a craft brew, or having a family-owned winery, or a distillery. It starts with the raw materials. It starts with the process, the aging. So I looked at the tradition of Cuban cigars as a culture, and then Latin America, the rum industry, the beer industry, and if you look at where this industry started, it started in those Cuban-style nations that had tobacco as a cash crop, wonderful cigars,
Right.
but across the street they were growing sugar cane, and they were making light spirits, rums. Or they had an influence of cultures that were German or French or Spanish, and they focused on a lot of lighter lager style beers. Right. So it was a perfect marriage. But what we saw in the industry was there was a hole for blending cigars specifically to support and to enhance the experience of libations. So Southern Draw as a lifestyle, let's get it into the hands of the folks that are in the outdoor sharing family and friends style. Obviously, the result is giving us a product that's wonderful in the shops and sitting inside the air conditioning with your buddies. But it's the blending process that we were so interested in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's very cool. So what do you prefer to smoke your cigars with? What's your choice of beverage?
I think my choice is whatever's local. The new guy that I met, the new family that's starting a new venture, the new ones that are struggling to put their passion into something. So I could easily say I could go to a Belvini, a double wood or a Caribbean cask. There's a good example. I could go to a nice barrel-aged rum.
Yeah.
I could go to some of the best French Bordeaux's, which are a little higher in pH, which is a challenge when you try to pair with a cigar. But I prefer to support somebody that I just met that says, hey, we're starting this new brewery down the road. You should come try it. Or, hey, this is our first harvest of Petite Syrah. How can we find a cigar that pairs well with that? And the beauty of that is you have a great line of cigars and you can have a great libation. But if you enjoy those together and you have an experience that cannot be achieved with one or the other, then we've accomplished our goal. Right. So it's a lifetime goal that we're going to have here.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to take those steps and to support those family businesses as a family business. And maybe even as equally as important as we're family owned, but we're also a veteran owned industry, you know, in a business. So I partner with some of my friends that are more family than they are friends, but they're also veterans. We're supporting in our own way, right? And I think with the culture and the blends and the industries that we're supporting, you know, those beverages that we're looking for, we're going to try to continue to blend cigars and continue to custom blend cigars that'll help enhance their experience and their core line of products.
Yeah, nice. That's very cool, man. Very cool.
Now your buddy Trey that was in tonight, he mentioned Garrison Brothers. Have you tried Garrison Brothers?
I have. I
could see that going really well with this cigar.
I haven't had the luxury of sitting with him and doing a pairing or a tasting in that sense. You know, a good example for here locally has been the new Firewheel Brewery. They're up and comers, and I hear they're building another brewery, and that's going to be wonderful. But we've had the opportunity to do about 3 tastings with them. But being able to go through each of their beers and to really extract the flavor profiles, those weights, those viscosities, where do you want to start this process? Where do you want to end? So it started with the Firethorn, and that Firethorn, you know, blend that we have that we released in May is it's a Habano Rosado, you know, Claro, but it's a very creamy cigar. But we've complemented that with the San Andreas binder, which gave it a little spiciness. So it's not really a mild or a medium; it's a medium with a lot of flavor.
Nice. I'm waiting for you to try that. It's a good cigar.
I'm looking forward to trying that. Yeah.
It's going to be a wonderful experience if you do it together. Like for example, if we used Firewheel as an example, you know, to start with some of their golden lagers and some of those things. And some of those have a nice citrus punch to it. But we try to work through these cigars. You'll find that we have a transition, and it's a purpose-built cigar. As we pour our beverages, we take our first sip, we take our first draw. 5 minutes later, as that beverage warms, an IPA is a good example. The flavors really start coming out. The hops start warming, and the flavor's better. If it's a Scotch, if it's a wine, as the air hits it, the flavor profiles change. Right. So we wanted to make sure our cigars had similar transitions throughout those. So during the bunching process, when we blended these, we specifically blended them to have transitions, a third and a third and a third, that would be a nice complement to the changes in the beverages that we're enjoying.
Some good complexity to them and everything.
Absolutely.
That's great. Yeah, we've always talked about cigars being an artisan product, that we fully believe that. I mean, they're up there with wine and good scotches and you know, craft brews. There's really no comparison to anything else out there, you know, as far as cigars go. They're just an artisan, and they shouldn't be in the situation they're in now with the FDA and everything. It's just it's a travesty, I think. So
when you consider it takes 300 human hands touching a product to generate that one cigar for you, you learn to have an appreciation. And for our government or any other organization to come in and try to basically bully without having a complete understanding is a travesty. We're dealing with raw materials. We're dealing with families that have spent generations perfecting an art. The process that they go through is so disciplined to generate a good cigar, right? they should not be treated any differently than any other cash crop or any other agricultural product or use consumer electronics as an example. What are we doing to control that? These are getting better over time, more features, more functions. They're becoming very complex. We should have the same liberties, I think, in our industry that allows us to explore and innovate.
For sure, yeah.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about the different blends that you guys are offering right now.
Well,
the different lines, I guess.
Sure. There's 4 lines, 4 specific blends that were released this year, and the first is the kudzu that I'm holding, and this is all produced by AJ Fernandez at Tabacalera Fernandez in Estelí, Nicaragua. So you're looking about 80-85% of our tobacco being estate grown.
Okay.
And the key there is consistency and quality.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
we're getting the right raw material, we're getting the right aging process, we're getting the right fermentation process, and then we're getting 3 levels of quality control that we get to look and touch and feel. And that's something AJ in his youth has learned a great value to. And given, I believe he's still in his 30s, he has a long future in this industry. He started out well, but he's just started, right? In the sense of industry. So we feel like a long-term partnership with him is the right thing for us. So that's where our blends start. But the kudzu, for example, our goal wasn't to get the strongest or fullest bodied cigar. It was to hit those notes that we wanted in the pairing. So this 6-year aged on average Escudo wrapper, it gives us the boldness, it gives us the flavor that we're looking for that a wrapper should in a this is what we call a medium full, I would think, and you guys will probably agree. But because we blended it to work well with high pH drinks, right? A red wine, for example, very high pH. It's a complicated matter when you're pairing cigars. But also move over to the scotches and the whiskeys and the oak barrel and charred barrel, concept of finishing a product. We complemented that wrapper with an Ometepe binder.
Nice.
And for those of you that don't know, the Ometepe tobacco comes from a little volcanic island in Lake Nicaragua. And the soil there really produces a nice spice, but also a char. A little bit of that char that complements well.
Yeah.
So it's worked out well. And then we move into the filler aspect of it is AJ has done some wonderful things by planting his, second and third generation Cuban seed tobaccos in regions of Nicaragua that had not been utilized up to this point. So very fertile soil, new land, and for example, we have a Pueblo Nuevo filler in this, and those subtle hints of spice and cedar and cocoa are in there. Gives a nice complement when you're drinking along with that, because that natural earthiness, that natural woodiness that's in there really complements well with most beverages.
Right.
So that's our kudzu blend.
So what's the second cigar in the line?
The second blend is the Firethorn, and the Firethorn is a Habano Rosado Claro wrapper, and the binder in that is the San Andreas. And again, trying to find a way to deliver a true medium blended cigar with enough flavor to support those folks that are really in that medium full category. The San Andreas offered us those spices that we wanted with a very subtle wrapper of that Habano Rosado that we selected. With that is a 100% Nicaraguan filler as well, but within that you're going to get those undertones of the cocos and the coffee still of a full Habano wrappered cigar, because that's 70-80% of our flavor there. But it's these undertones that AJ's offers us with some of his proprietary filler that he's been out experimenting with over the years that we fell in love with, that made it a truly unique product.
What is it about San Andreas that you think has made it the big comeback?
I think that over the last 2 or 3 years we've seen it mature as a wrapper. We've seen it mature to a point where they're not just growing, harvesting, and drying it and putting it on a cigar. They're actually taking the time to age it now. They're taking the time, and I'll use AJ as an example because I know that he is double fermenting, and that is not really a marketing ploy. The fact is, when you ferment a tobacco and it's ready, taking the care to break down that polone and to ferment it again, meaning take the outside tobacco out of the polone, put it on the inside. Now it has had the same amount of pressure and heat for every leaf, so you get a lot of consistency in that. So that San Andreas has really matured over the last couple of years, and you're seeing it as primarily as a wrapper. But it's a very strong, very overpowering almost. So if you're trying to fit within a certain range here, like we are, it just fits better for us as a binder, because we get that flavor, we get those spices that we wanted and we love from the San Andreas without overpowering the cigar.
That's cool. That's a good way to do it. I mean, I haven't really seen many people doing that. It's all wrapper.
Absolutely.
And since your goal really isn't to make this be-all, end-all cigar, you're making a cigar that, with a pairing, can be the be-all, end-all. I could see San Andres being a better binder than a wrapper with what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's when you sit around a table with 12 folks that are contributing to the blending process, and they have palates that have been specific to the craft breweries or the wineries, they're going to pick out subtleties that you wouldn't pick out. Our challenge with AJ and our team has been to go out into the world and find those binders and fillers that actually have those same elements, that have those complementing elements, and it exists in nature. It's finding those things and experimenting with those until you get it right. And it's not Robert Holt, but it's the 12 guys around the table having a consensus that says that's the right one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a hell of a way to do it, man. It's like science, It really is. It's
Absolutely.
figuring out, who's the first guy who put salt on something, It's,
absolutely.
it's that experimentation that just changes everything.
But it's also that collaborative effort that I think is very important in any type of creation.
Absolutely.
And the more hands you got in a pot, unlike cooking, and things like this, it actually works because you're getting different ideas and getting different palettes and things like that.
When you pass a little index card around and you're not reading each other's notes, and in the end it comes out and you've got 100 different blends that you've tried in a week, and your palate is burned out, and every one of those notes correspond, and they say, this is my number one choice, this is my number two, and my number three. When you get to that point, you go, we've got something.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it's ready.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what is and then tell us about these guys.
The quick draw.
Well, the quick draw, we released the first two blends with 3 vitolas. So a traditional Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo, and we put a little spin on the Gordo at a 6.5, 60 ring gauge, kind of gave it that Texas feel. But with the Petite Corona and the quick draw line, we're really proud and we're excited to release those today with you guys. We wanted to come out with something that would truly complement those guys that drink their scotches neat or drink a nice barrel-aged rum. So you got to have a medium to robust profile. So how do you start that on a Petite Corona? It's all about the wrapper.
Yeah.
So we chose 2 wrappers, and the first is a Ecuadorian Habano, and what we think is a very complex Pennsylvania broadleaf. Both of those have a lot of natural oils, have a lot of natural flavors. So we've complemented the binder and filler, which are, again, everything we have is a Cuban seed grown in Nicaragua, right? So the binder and filler was important there. But you'll notice that both of those cigars, you're both trying different blends. When you light them up, they start off a little woody and a little earthy, and that's coming from those wrappers that we've used. But as you get into them a little bit, then you get to coax out some of that binder and filler in there, and that's really where the sweetness comes in. You get a little bit of a sweet profile, especially on the Habano. It's just I call it a sweet cigar. It is a sweet cigar from an aroma standpoint, but it has some exotic spices in there too. And the Pennsylvania broadleaf really does that well too. It really pulls that out of the binder and filler. But in the end, it's still going to have that traditional finish of a petite that has a little coffee and a little cocoa and the little things that we like on the end of our tongue and on our palate when we take the last draw. But it's really meant for those of us that want to sit with just a little shot, just have a little 30-minute, or even more importantly, a coffee in the morning to start.
I was just about
to
say,
want the perfect
like a
coffee
cappuccino
cigar,
or something would go great.
If I'm having a cappuccino, something with dairy or sweetness, I'm going to go with that Habano. But if I'm going to have my Cuban coffee or I'm going to have my espresso, I promise you I'm going to reach for that complex Pennsylvania broadleaf. And that 30 to 40 minute burn on those things are just perfectly. I've seen folks burn them all the way down to the paper on their fingertips. But we created a line that really complements well with all those ranges of libations that we wanted to, because you don't have a lot of chance on a petite to impress a palate. You got to start it off, but it's got to finish all the way, because you're going to, more likely than not, that's going to be the cigar they finish.
Gotcha.
One of the things I love about the closed foot also is that's a great way to deliver the wrapper right at the start, because a lot of times you're getting that binder and filler more than you get in the wrapper without that closed foot. When you get that closed foot, it's like boom, wrapper right there at the start.
Absolutely.
It's a great blast. So fantastic cigars, man. I've been a fan of every one I've had so far. They're really, really tasty.
I've had all 4 now. I like them all. They're really good stuff.
I appreciate that. I think, over time that you guys get to try a few more, we'll continue to talk and take feedback, and we're looking into the future while we build this line up. We didn't mention, and maybe ratings don't mean anything to some folks and some folks that do, but to us, every one of our blends did receive a 90 or greater rating.
That's awesome.
You want that pat on the back. You want
the pat on the back, but from an industry standpoint, for me, what it says is somebody somewhere likes them.
The recognition.
And if somebody somewhere likes them, what are the chances that they're hanging out with people with similar palates and similar expectations and similar respect for their decision and making a recommendation? So I come in a shop like this, a big portion of your business in a shop like this will be based on recommendation. This is the newest. Want you to try it. If you like this product, you might like this product, and we try to keep them in a fair price point as well. We're in the South, right? We're very mindful of what it costs, and we all work hard for our money, so we want to give back a little bit. And Quick Draw coming out on the market under $5 is a pretty good start for us, I think.
That's not bad at all. I would spend $4.50, $4.75 on this cigar all day long.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. So excellent. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do on social media. Are you guys on the Twitterverse at all, or anything like that?
We are. We're active on Instagram, and of course, it's feeding our Twitter and our Facebook right now. Everybody needs to bear with us a little bit. I've taken that role initially. In the very near future, in the next 30, 45 days, we're going to see a transition. We're actually bringing in one of our partners that is, I guess we could categorize them as an expert in SEO and on social media, because they do it for very large corporations. And we realize that we rely heavily on our customers, the satisfied customers, and posting, and we look forward to that. We try to make a time every day to contribute something to the industry, keep the excitement, but we also do as much to support all of our partners. So we really are following every shop that carries the product, all of our products, from our distributors to our reps to our factory, and we want to enjoy all the products that they put out. So we try to spend as much time supporting them as we are, promoting our own product. But we'll continue to focus on that and try to spend a little more time on our advertising and marketing as we grow here. And as a small company, you have a smaller budget, but we realize the value of social media and how we need to promote a little better. And we're always open for advice on that. As you guys know, you've been doing it for quite some time, so it's exciting to get an opportunity to sit down with you and share it.
Wow, we're veterans now.
I know, right?
That?
Yeah, I know. A year ago,
Seems like we just started.
Yeah, I know.
Year and a half. Wow,
crazy.
It's been a while.
Well, Robert, I want to thank you for your time, for coming out and talking to us today, and it was a great event.
Thank you for
And
the cigars.
any parting words?
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate the event, first of all. We appreciate you guys giving us a few moments here on your podcast. And, we look forward to doing more releases and more events with you guys. And, hopefully, since we're all Texans, we'll continue to cross each other's paths and support one another. And, we appreciate everybody that's purchased our sticks, and even the ones that took the freebies, because ultimately we hope that they're going to be,
they'll be
the ones that that out promoting it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Well,
you.
Robert, you're always welcome.
Thank you.
And for the record, because when I was texting you about who we were going to talk to, autocorrect always changes it to Southern Drawl. It's not Southern Drawl, it's Draw, D-R-A-W.
Okay.
Southern Draw.
Southern Draw.
Thank you so much, guys.
Tasty sticks. So, as always, check us out on all the normal... Yeah, doing great.
Good job,
doing
man.
fantastic.
You're doing awesome.
I'm a pro. Check us out all the normal places you can find us.
What are they? iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Podcast Land, Podomatic, iTunes already said, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
And add us on the Facebook at Calypso Cigar Review, and also Calypso Cigar Shop and Lounge. And on the Twitter, we've got Calypso Cigar Rev.
At Randy Rankin 43.
At Captain Funky Pants. Long story.
What's your Twitter handle?
SD Cigars.
SD Cigars.
SD Cigars. Thank you so much.
All right. So, geez,
God,
really,
we're so good.
Seriously.
I talked about us being veterans, and then we shit the bed.
Yeah, exactly, right at the end. As always, it's been great smoking with you.
See you later, fellas.
See you later, guys.